Information from our reporter Brett Buffington. Sources are telling him that this deputy was shot in the head and that first responders were there doing CPR. Right now, we are looking at a scene from Air 11, and we were just told that this is very close to where the suspect was caught, near a business in the area near Highway 6. So looking at both of the scenes, it doesn't look like the suspect got away too far. We understand that the suspect description that was given to us, again, through sources by our reporter Brett Buffington, is the suspect is a white male. He was wearing a gray shirt and khaki shorts, and he actually had an open warrant for a parole violation, which could be why the traffic stop was initiated. Right, and we have to be clear here. We believe that the deputies have arrested somebody, but we don't know for sure if it's the gunman here involved of the shooting of the deputy, and we just don't have that confirmed yet. So somebody's under arrest. This is the scene you're looking at here from Air 11, where that arrest took place, not far from the shooting scene. We have not been able to confirm if even deputies believe, reasonably certain that that's the guy who may have committed this. We've been told that they believe that it is the person who is associated with the traffic stop and the shooting, but again, we're waiting for that confirmation. But Sheriff Ed Gonzalez with Harris County has been updating us online on this. In fact, that's the first time we heard about this issue was around 1 o'clock today when the sheriff tweeted that a deputy had been shot during a traffic stop and that he was asking folks to please keep him in your prayers. And that initiated that active search in the Jersey Village area for the man accused of shooting this deputy, who we now understand, as we are looking at this scene here, that this suspect may have been caught in this area, not far from the shooting scene and where that traffic stop happened. Suspect obviously took off after the shooting, and responding deputies may have tracked him here to an area not far away. But you can see all of those officers and deputies concerned, I'm sure, but also on scene here where this arrest was made shortly after the deputy was shot. We understand that Sheriff Gonzalez is at the hospital with that deputy, who, according to Brett Buffington's reporting, a source telling him that the deputy was shot in the head and left the scene with rescuers doing CPR, but without a pulse. So we are hoping for some more hopeful news, but this initial news at least sounds grim. Again, if you're familiar with the area, this is in northwest Harris County. The shooting, the traffic stop, and then the subsequent shooting happened in the 14,000 block of Willancy Court. That is a very residential area we've been seeing on maps. And this right here is a parking lot very close to a gas station near Highway 6. And this is the area that we're being told is near where the suspect was caught. Again, the suspect description that was given to our reporter Brett Buffington from a source was that the man caught was white, that he was wearing a gray shirt and some khaki shorts, and that he had been stopped initially because he had an open warrant for a parole violation. That suspect, I believe, is about 5 feet 5 inches tall, and this is the man of this description. This is the person that they have arrested in connection with this shooting. We did have a shot of the shooting scene, a ground shot from a reasonable distance there a few minutes ago. We'll take you back to that right now. See what's happening there. You see some law enforcement blocking the street. This is Willancy Court. You see a sheriff's command vehicle there arriving. Looks to be arriving on scene. And other sheriff's vehicles and deputies there as well. You can see just how residential that is there as that command vehicle, the crime scene unit. So that'll be for, I assume, processing the scene, doing the investigation that's going to be needed here on Willancy Court. We see a fire engine as well coming onto scene here. Yeah, there's so many things that, we are still asking questions about. We're not quite getting answers about. But we know that the officer, the deputy, was shot by the suspect who he pulled over during a traffic stop. Paramedics arrived. They were doing CPR on him, but it wasn't looking good. And again, our sources are saying that the deputy was shot in the head. He was taken by life flight to a local hospital. We know that Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is out there. We don't know exactly where the suspect was caught, but we're being told that this man is in custody, so that is good information there. We don't know if anyone else was in the vehicle that this suspect was in, so if he had a passenger or other people in the car, we don't know about that. So a lot of moving parts in this case, but of course our focus is on the deputy who was shot, hoping that there is a miracle in all of this, because the information we are getting from sources and from the ground, it is not looking good.
Unfortunately, it's not, given what Brett Buffington's been told out there on the scene. But we've also learned that Sheriff Gonzalez has arrived at the hospital where the deputy was taken for treatment. We have not seen anything from the sheriff here in the last little while. Trying to look at the last time he communicated anything, and it was about 40 minutes ago, the last time we heard from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. But we have been told that he has arrived, I believe, at Memorial Hermann, where that deputy is getting treatment. But again, he left the scene shot in the head, and unfortunately not a pulse, as rescuers were doing their best to save him and get him to the hospital where the doctors can give him the treatment he needs.
Again, one person is in custody. Unclear if authorities are possibly looking for another person, if there was a passenger in the suspect's vehicle. But the man who was pulled over, we understand from sources, had an open warrant for a parole violation. So that is kind of what probably instigated that traffic stop until this tragedy occurred. You see a lot of law enforcement on the scene. This is typical when there's an officer-involved shooting. There's a large police presence. This shot here from our KHOU 11 camera on the ground, this is the scene where the shooting happened. This is where the deputy was taken from by Lifelight to a local hospital. So you're looking at the scene where the traffic stop and the shooting happened. The other view we were showing you was from Air 11. We've been told that the suspect was caught very close. If you look at a map, it's just a few blocks away, a few short blocks away from the scene, was caught near Highway 6. Again, this is in northwest Harris County near Jersey Village. To give you an idea, the shooting happened in a residential area there. It was the 14,000 block of Willancy Court and West Road, just in that area. And then the suspect was caught a little farther west, close to Highway 6, near a business there, is what we're being told.
And we're seeing more law enforcement here arrive on scene by the minute. We just saw the crime scene unit pull in there a few minutes ago. That'll be used to process this scene. If you live in that area, you can expect to see officers out there for a long time to come here. We're going to pause on the TV side and return you to our regular programming here in just a few seconds.
And we will continue our coverage online on KHOU.com, of course, and Facebook Live and YouTube. We're going to stay on top of this story, and we'll bring you the very latest.
With a premiere event.
We're back.
Then
The city's under attack.
SWAT moves to Wednesdays, and it's gonna be lit. It's the season premieres of SWAT and SEAL Team, CBS Wednesday.
We want to thank Vanessa Williams for co-hosting with us again today and remind you that her Vanessa Williams live concert tour will be stopping in Thousand Oaks, California, Destin, Florida, and other cities. To find out more, go to thetalk.com. Next week on The Talk, Sarah Gilbert's back with the cast of The Conners. Thanks for joining us today. Let's talk again soon.
Don't miss the Magnum PI season premiere, CBS Tonight.
Hey guys, try some HEB sushi. Got some appetizers and rolls. Y'all enjoy.
This looks great, right? So I have an idea for a new play, the sushi shotgun.
Where'd they go? Why'd they stop talking? Hello?
Now online. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining our online coverage of this situation that we've been following since about 1 o'clock this afternoon, so for about an hour now. A Harris County Sheriff's deputy was shot during a traffic stop. This happened in the 14,000 block of Willancy Court at West Road. This is northwest Harris County. This area is just east of Highway 6. I hope this gives you a better idea of where all of this is unfolding. The scene that you're looking at right now is our camera on the ground, and this is the scene where the deputy was shot. All of this happened during a traffic stop. This deputy apparently pulled a man over who had an open warrant for a parole violation, and that's when we're told the suspect pulled out a gun and shot the deputy in the head. It is not looking very good. The deputy was taken by life flight to a local hospital, and Brett Buffington has been getting updates.
Hello.
Hi, Brett. You are on live right now. I'm taking your phone call, or I'm calling you right now to get an update. So for folks who are listening in, this is Brett Buffington. He's a reporter on the ground, and sources have been giving him really good information about what's happened. So Brett, lay it all out for us.
So we don't know very much about why this traffic stop was going down in northwest Harris County this morning. We haven't learned why this person was getting pulled over by this deputy. But we know things quickly went very south, according to what sources are telling us this afternoon. These are sources in law enforcement with information coming right from the scene. I'm on the way to the scene right now. I'll be there soon. We expect an update from the sheriff quickly this afternoon, obviously on this officer's deputy's condition, and confirming that, at least according to our sources, that they do have at least one suspect at this point in custody. Sources telling me this afternoon that during this traffic stop, this deputy was shot in the head. Certainly praying for that person, this deputy, this afternoon. We don't know very much more about the deputy besides that he's a man in his 40s, according to what sources are telling me, and he was shot during this traffic stop. They were doing CPR on the deputy at the scene. Again, all of this according to law enforcement sources who tell me the deputy was put in a life flight helicopter without a pulse and flown to Memorial Hermann in the Texas Medical Center. It's not looking very good this afternoon, and again, law enforcement sources giving me all of this information from the scene. Of course, we're working to get this confirmed all through the sheriff's office, but obviously they are quite busy now trying to sort this all out. This apparently happened, I'm sure you guys have seen the Air 11 pictures by now. This apparently happened in a parking lot. This is where this was being pulled over. They're hopeful there at the scene that they have surveillance video at least of the people running from the car. Expect there would be body camera video of this going down from the deputy's body camera because they wear those here in Harris County. Again, it's an active investigation out there. We know that there have been several people detained there at the scene. And we know that law enforcement, according to law enforcement sources, the person accused of shooting this deputy had an open parole violation warrant. And so, obviously, deputies, knowing that, deputies there at the scene know the name of this person. And again, hearing that the accused shooter is now in custody, and we've just learned from sources that they are possibly looking for a second suspect there in the Jersey Village area. There's a big law enforcement presence there, as you've been able to see from our live cameras. They are a perimeter set up. We know that they've been in some apartment complex nearby. Unsure why. Again, working to get to that scene now. Once able to give you a lot more information. Rachel?
Yeah, Brett, that was our question. We didn't know if there was still an active search for any other possible suspects, if there was anyone else in the vehicle along with the suspect who shot the deputy. So is it, according to your sources, the person who's been arrested, is this the man they believe shot the deputy?
They believe, so we got a description now. Sources, this was a white male wearing a gray shirt, khaki shorts, approximately 5'5". They had this guy's name. Unclear how, but law enforcement sources told me they knew who they were looking for. And again, a person with an open parole violation. So if they knew that, it's likely that during a traffic stop, you know, deputies get your license, they call you in. So it had been close enough or enough information. Somebody had told them who this person was. I'm being told by law enforcement sources they have the suspected shooter in custody, and now just learning in the last 5 minutes or so that they are actively looking for possibly, I was told, possibly a second suspect related to this shooting of this Harris County deputy.
All right, that is good information. And of course, we're praying for this deputy. We know that Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is at the hospital right now. And as you said, the deputy was put into a life flight helicopter with no pulse. That is not what you want to hear. The sheriff obviously on Twitter asking folks for prayers for this deputy. So this is shaping up to be a very sad situation here. But in the meantime, the suspect has been caught. I know that we know about that open warrant out for his arrest, but any information from your sources as to how quickly this all went down? I mean, was this did this shooting happen within minutes of this traffic stop, or was there any sort of back and forth? You know, did the officer get a chance to open fire? Do we know anything in the way of how the situation escalated?
No, I haven't heard anything about how fast this happened, whether it was moments or seconds as the deputy was walking up to the car, or whether there was some exchange and a conversation between the person or the people in the car and the deputy. I know that we learned about this very quickly. We knew that this had happened within seconds of the shooting happening, within seconds of them starting to send backup to this injured deputy. And the sheriff even put this out on Twitter within minutes of it happening. I can tell you, I tried to reach out to the sheriff's office PIO, and he answered the phone long enough to tell me he'd call me back, but you could hear his siren blaring as he was trying to get to this scene. So there's a lot of information, a lot of questions. I'm sure investigators themselves, they are trying to figure out this afternoon. As you know, anytime there's an officer involved shooting, whether it be an officer shoot someone or someone shoot an officer, it is a lengthy investigation. It is meticulous. I can tell you from fire department sources up here, they've actually called because they were concerned about the rain. They've called for tarps and tents to go over the top of the officer's car, the deputy's car, over the car involved, to preserve the evidence there at the scene. So investigators there, they are working to try and figure that out now. I can tell you likely in a lot of these cases, investigators rely immediately on that body camera footage because it is so telling about what happened in those seconds, in those moments. They can give you the timeline of how quickly this played out and the exchange between the deputy and the person in the car. I can also tell you, according to sources, they have detained several people at this scene. That would likely be an indication that there was more than one person inside of this car when this happened.
And you said that the suspect who was detained, they believe, your sources tell you they believe this is the man who shot the deputy, but also we had a description of him. Are there any descriptions for this other possible suspect or other possible people they're looking for?
And it's a very fluid situation at this scene, I can tell you that. And according to the sources that I've been talking to, I can tell you that information is changing very quickly. So at this scene now, we've learned in just the last few minutes, they are searching, and again, possibly for the suspects who got away from this scene. Unclear how they're related to the scene, unclear if they were in the car. Just telling you that I was told by law enforcement sources that there's still a search near this parking lot where the shooting happened for someone they believe that might still be on the run from law enforcement.
All right. Again, if folks were just joining us, we are on the phone with reporter Brett Buffington, who is almost at the scene right now, but has given us critical information from police sources about a deputy who was shot in Northwest Harris County near the 14,000 block of Willancy Court at West Road. All of this happening just east of Highway 6. The deputy was put in a life flight helicopter with no pulse. And that is not very reassuring. So, of course, the sheriff asking for prayers from the public for this deputy who, all we know about this deputy so far is that he is in his 40s. Is that correct, Brett? Do we have any other information about the deputy?
So far, what I've been told by sources is this is a deputy, is a man in his 40s, and that's who's been injured. No other description than that. And, even at this point, I would even hesitate to go out and say more than that because, you know, the law enforcement is such a tight community, and they are in for a long afternoon in South Point.
Yes, and of course they're reaching out to his family.
By sources, I can tell you, talking to them, they are upset, and you just have to grieve for them this afternoon, what they're going through. It's heartbreaking that this has happened again in Houston. You know, we just dealt with an officer-involved shooting, and the miraculous video of that officer walking out of the hospital just a few days ago, and now here we are going into this again. Another law enforcement officer here in our area has been shot. So they're obviously upset. They're dealing with this. They're trying to get information out to us. Obviously, the Public Information Department division of the Sheriff's Office, they are working to get information that they're ready to release out to us too. But I would expect very soon we would know who this deputy is, his background with the Sheriff's Office, obviously, and expect the sheriff to come out and make a statement really soon as to how fast this all played out this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So many more details we're hoping for, but of course our thoughts and prayers are with this deputy and his family. I'm sure the sheriff's office getting in touch with them and alerting them as to what has happened and what has unfolded. And so quickly too, again, all of this coming out around 1 o'clock, the sheriff tweeting that a deputy had been shot during a traffic stop. The man that this deputy was pulling over had an open warrant out. He had a parole violation, and we don't know how fast this traffic stop escalated to the point where the suspect, who we're told, looks like we lost Brett there, but the suspect shot this deputy in the face. Deputy taken by life flight to a local hospital, but it's not looking good. And so there are several deputies on scene right now. As you can see, this is a shot from the ground, and we're looking at the scene where the deputy did the traffic stop and was then subsequently shot. So hopefully we'll get more information soon as Brett Buffington is approaching the scene and speaking with authorities there. But again, there's a search for a possible second suspect. We need to mention, you know, we had a description of the first suspect, the the suspect who allegedly shot the officer in the face. But we don't have any descriptions for a possible second suspect or anyone else who may have been in the vehicle that was pulled over during this traffic stop. So trying to get more information there, but we know that there's a large police presence. So this is video from Air 11, and it looks as if they have put one of those pop-up tents over the crime scene. We're not going to zoom in too close. There's some, blood on the road, and we know that the deputy is not there. He's at a local hospital, but you can see there's an ambulance there, and it looks like they are preserving this area, obviously, to collect evidence. So we are watching this scene from Air 11. This is a residential area. We're told this is the 14,000 block of Willancy Court. It looks like a little cul-de-sac there. This is very close to West Road, if you're familiar with Northwest Harris County. So Air 11 kind of pulling back on the scene. Crime scene investigators are there. You can see they've set up a post there, and there's still a presence there as they process that scene where the deputy was shot, where this traffic stop happened. We don't know who the suspect is, but now look, Air 11 is pulling out, and maybe will show us in a few minutes where the suspect was caught. We just know that he is a white man who's about 5 feet 5 inches tall. He was wearing a gray shirt and khaki shorts. That was the description that went out as they were looking for this guy. But they caught him very close to the crime scene, very close to Highway 6 in a parking lot there. So they have that under control. But again, there is a search for a possible second suspect in Northwest Harris County. We do not have a description of that suspect, and we're hoping to get more information as Brett Buffington arrives on scene. It looks like this here is the area where the suspect was caught. There's a large police presence there. There's a lot of investigators speaking with each other. They are, again, maybe just a few blocks, 2 or 3 blocks away from the crime scene. So we're hoping to get more information soon as to how all of this happened, how all of this escalated, and how fast, how quickly this all went down. But this is Northwest Harris County, and if Air 11 has a chance to pull out of the shot, we can kind of get a better idea of where exactly this is. Other shots we've seen, it looks like they were very close to a gas station in the area, very close to Highway 6. But right now, we believe they're searching for a second possible suspect. We don't have a description. We don't have an update on the deputy who was shot in the face and who's at a local hospital, but it doesn't sound like this deputy, who all we're told is that he's a man in his 40s. It doesn't sound like the deputy is doing too well. He was taken by life flight to a local hospital, to Memorial Hermann, we believe, and he did not have a pulse at the time. So again, the sheriff, Ed Gonzalez, and folks in the law enforcement community asking the community for prayers, and of course praying for this deputy and for his family. So this is a scene we've been following for the last about hour and 15 minutes up in Northwest Harris County, very close to Jersey Village. And we're watching this scene here, which is near where the suspect was found. We don't have a vehicle description. There's a lot of cars in this parking lot. We don't have a vehicle description as to the car that the deputy pulled over during that traffic stop. And then we don't know if the suspect took off in the same car or took a different car out, stole another car, took it out. So we're just trying to figure all of that out right now. But this is not looking very good. This is a very grim situation right now for folks in the law enforcement community, and of course for the deputy and his family as we watch all of this happen. This is the patrol car we're focusing on, and we may very well see the suspect in there. And you see a deputy put on some gloves there. And We're just watching this. There's several deputies around this car, so we can assume that the suspect is inside here. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of this person who they have under arrest. Oh, great. We're seeing a man come out of this vehicle with that gray shirt. That was something that we heard from the description of the suspect. So yes, that man is wearing a gray shirt and khaki shorts. This is the man they arrested, who they believe shot that deputy in the face. This man had an open warrant for parole violation. So it looks like they are frisking him. He is in handcuffs. They are checking his pockets. He has his hands bagged, obviously. And a lot of deputies here doing a pat down, want to make sure that there's no other weapons on him. And he is, according to the description that we were told, he appears to be the suspect who was caught in connection with the shooting of this deputy. A lot of sheriff's deputies there. And again, we're watching this scene from Air 11. Doesn't appear that this suspect got very far after that shooting. Searching him for any possible weapons, drugs, anything else, any other contraband he may have on his body. This is a tough job for deputies, as they know that their colleague, their fellow deputy, is in the hospital right now, essentially fighting for his life. And this is the man they believe shot him in the face during that traffic stop. So it looks like the suspect is getting belted back into that patrol car. He just shut the door. And so this is the scene where the suspect was caught. If you're just joining us, we are following this breaking news that's out of Northwest Harris County, where a deputy was shot during a traffic stop. And the man who authorities believe shot him is in this patrol car at a parking lot just a few blocks away. The deputy was taken by life flight to a local hospital, to the med center, and that situation was looking very grim. He did not have a pulse. We know that first responders on scene were doing CPR, working on him for quite a while until they could get life flight there and get him to a hospital. But when he was taken away, he did not have a pulse. That is what we are being told by police sources. So obviously there's a large presence here where the suspect was caught. There is a presence at the scene, which is just a few blocks away in a residential area in the 14,000 block of Willancy Court near West Road. That is the scene where the deputy was shot, and that scene is being processed right now. And as you can imagine, we don't have eyes on it just yet, but typically when there's an officer-involved shooting and there's an officer down, there will be a large police presence at the hospital where that deputy is getting treatment. So we are watching all of this, bringing this to you live on all of our digital platforms, wanting to make sure that we got this breaking news to you. The sheriff asking the community for prayers in all of this. We understand that they are obviously reaching out to the deputy's family. I'm sure they've been alerted by now and maybe are even at the hospital. We don't know much about the deputy except that he is a man and that he's in his 40s. We don't know how long he has been with the sheriff's office, how long he's been with the department. But as we pull back a little, it looks like the suspect was caught near a gas station in the area. And wow, that is a lot of patrol cars in the area, as you can see. It looks like they are going to be wrapping up there soon as they take this suspect to jail. But you see all that yellow tape there. They have blocked a lot of this area off. Obviously, this is a busy area. This is a gas station. It looks like a shopping center close by near Highway 6, and a lot of people in the area on a Friday afternoon. So they had to clear that scene to get this guy to process all of this. They arrested him. You saw them patting him down, making sure he had no other weapons on his body, no drugs, no anything else. They put him back in that patrol car we see right there with flashing lights, and they might be taking off soon. Several investigators on scene there. We're hearing from our reporter, Brett Buffington, that police sources are telling him that there is a search for a possible second suspect. What we don't know, and what has still been unanswered in all of this, is were there other people in the suspect's car? Was there another person? Was the suspect the driver? Was he in the passenger seat? We don't know any of this. We just know that this is the man we believe shot the deputy, and the suspect did have a warrant out for his arrest. So that car now with the suspect, who we're told by authorities shot that deputy in the face, is heading out now. And he will be taken to jail where he'll be processed. And the other scene, the shooting where the shooting happened, that scene is just a few blocks away. It's in a residential area. And we saw earlier from Air 11 that a tarp, a pop-up tent, had been set up over the scene as they process the evidence there. And they process what happened there. And of course now we are also going to be following on the ground the scene in the Med Center at Memorial Hermann, where that deputy was taken by life flight. And so many folks in the law enforcement community and beyond praying for that deputy, because it wasn't looking good at last check. We were told he did not have a pulse. So we're waiting to hear more on that. So we're watching Air 11 following this patrol car, taking this suspect away who was in custody. We don't know much about this man. We just know that there was a parole violation and that there was a warrant out for his arrest. Don't know what he was on parole for. But obviously this is information that will be coming out in the next couple of hours. And Air 11 following this vehicle. We do have a camera on the ground as we follow video from the scene where this all happened. And of course, we want to get to that hospital and get coverage from the ground there as well. We have reporters on the way. Whereas, you know, when these things happen, when there's an officer down, the law enforcement community rallies together. And we're going to be seeing, this is the Harris County Sheriff's Department, but of course we're going to be seeing HPD, Highway Patrol, folks in the law enforcement community coming out to support each other. This is a difficult time for them. You don't like hearing about this. This is not a good situation for them, and they don't like to hear about a colleague being shot. So certainly prayers are needed, and a lot of support will be needed for his family. But this right here is a patrol car that is holding the suspect who was arrested pretty shortly after the shooting happened, and relatively close, just a few blocks away from the scene. Again, looking for a possible second suspect, but we don't have a description of this person, and we haven't really gotten any confirmation if there was any other person in the suspect's car when this shooting happened. So that is information that we're hoping to get soon.
to avoid that area if possible because of the large police presence. And again, he asked for prayers. He's at the hospital.
So confirming on Twitter that the suspect, as you can see, is being taken away in this vehicle here. Again, no other specific information about a second possible suspect. We're hoping to get more information about that. But just talking about traffic in the area, as you saw from Air 11, there is a large police presence, and they're asking folks, if you don't need to be in that area, please avoid that. Right now the sheriff is at the hospital. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is at the hospital, and again, just as he did when we first heard about this shooting, asking the community for prayers. What we've been hearing from police sources is that this deputy is not doing too well, and that again, they do have a possible suspect detained, and that's what we're looking at right now through Air 11. He is in this vehicle, patrol vehicle. Right now, for folks who are watching this, just know that the sheriff says that they believe the scene is contained. There's no current threat to the community. And again, they're going to be in that initial area in the 14,000 block of Willancy, collecting evidence and combing this crime scene for any information they can get. So if you are in the area of West Road, east of Highway 6, avoid that area if you can. Obviously, this happened in a residential area. If you live in that neighborhood, that will be hard to do. You'll probably have to show some sort of identification to show that you truly live there, that you need to be in that neighborhood. But for the most part, avoid this area. There is a large police presence in that area because, of course, just a few blocks away from the crime scene is where the where the suspect was caught. So a lot of officers there. It's going to tie up traffic in this part of Northwest Harris County. So please avoid that area if you can. And of course, finally, from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, asking the community for their prayers, for their thoughts, for their support at this time for this deputy who is fighting for his life in the Med Center. So we have reporters on the ground. We are covering all of this. Several scenes right now. First scene where the deputy was shot. The next scene, obviously, where the suspect was caught just a few blocks away. And of course, down at Memorial Hermann Hospital, where the deputy is being treated. All right, this is a tweet from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. I'm going to read it out to you guys. It says, "We have a possible suspect detained. We believe the scene is contained, and there's no current threat to the community right now. Due to scene investigation, there will continue to be a large police presence in the area, so please avoid if possible. I'm at the hospital, and we ask for our community's prayers." That tweet coming from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez in the last 5 or 6 minutes. So stuff we've been telling you, obviously, that we don't believe that there's a threat to the community. Still unclear if they're looking for a possible second suspect, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore if they're telling us that it's sort of giving us the all clear for that neighborhood. But again, avoid that area of Northwest Harris County if you have to, or if you can, because there's a large police presence there. They're going to be processing that scene. That could take a couple hours, and it's going to tie up traffic in the area. In the meantime, the sheriff asking for the community's prayers. All right, this is a live shot from the ground. This appears to be in the area where the deputy was shot and where this traffic stop happened. see some folks out there walking out with luggage. So it looks like this all happened, that looks like an apartment complex right there. But yes, this happened in a very residential area, and we're hoping to get more information. But this area, again, is the 14,000 block of Willancy Court in Northwest Harris County. This is just by West Road. This whole neighborhood is just east of Jersey Village, so we're talking on the east side of Highway 6. And this is the scene where the deputy was shot. Now, our camera on the ground is quite a ways back, because obviously when you have a scene like this, they put the yellow tape out and they keep folks back as far as possible, because they do need to collect evidence in all of this, and they don't want to taint that scene. So they are keeping folks far away, and they're asking the public, if you don't need to be in this area, please do not drive to this area right now. We're standing by to hear from reporter Melissa Correa. She is in the parking lot where the suspect was detained. You know, we showed you that video from Air 11. They pulled the suspect out of the patrol vehicle, frisked him, made sure he had no more weapons on him, patted him down, and put him back in that vehicle. So we did get to lay eyes on the suspect in that parking lot, where we again saw a large police presence there. And then we saw that patrol car take the suspect away from that scene. Melissa Correa was there for all of that, and we are standing by to hear from her in just a few moments. You know, all of this happened so quickly. That first tweet that we saw from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez came around 1 o'clock, and that was just moments after the shooting. And that was the first indication that a deputy had been shot. And now at 2:37, the deputy was taken by life flight to Memorial Hermann in the medical center, and the suspect, we believe, has been detained and is on his way to jail. Not really sure about this possible second suspect. We haven't been able to get any confirmation. We were told that they're looking for a possible second suspect, or maybe another person who was in the suspect's vehicle at the time that he was pulled over. But at the same time, we're hearing from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and he is telling us that he believes the scene is contained and that there's no current threat to the community. And that he's asking folks, because of the investigation at the scene and that large police presence, to again avoid that area if it's possible. It sounds like we have Melissa Correa on the ground. Hi, Melissa, can you hear us?
Yeah, hey, Reka, just wanted to clarify, we were not here for the arrest of that person that Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is identifying a possible suspect. In fact, we were stuck in traffic. You've been mentioning for folks trying to get to the West Road, Highway 6 area to avoid the area. I can tell you with full certainty, it is bumper to bumper. Traffic right now is at a crawl, and the schools in the area have not even let out. Let me get out of the way so I can show you what we're working with. We're on the corner of West Road and Highway 6. Folks familiar to the area, or if you're looking from Air 11, will know this is the parking lot, the shopping center that involves the Kroger. The scene right there, from what we can see on the ground, is where we believe that this arrest happened. The man that deputies are identifying as a possible suspect in this officer-involved shooting, now en route back to Houston, where he'll be questioned by Harris County investigators. When you talk about a full show of force, we mean it. We see law enforcement from all sorts of jurisdictions, firefighters on scene as well, who helped to triage this officer before he was life-flighted over to the medical center. In fact, deputies are now working to remove some of their vehicles from the parking lot as the situation is so fluid. Not only do you want to avoid the area because so many law enforcement vehicles are here and the investigation is just about to unravel, but because there's just so much traffic in the area. This is a residential area. I can tell you, though, that the businesses and the Kroger in this shopping center are still open to customers. At no point were any of these stores evacuated or shut down, and that plays into the effect of what the sheriff is saying on social media, which is there's currently no threat to public safety in the area. We see people frequenting fast food restaurants and some ATMs not far from here. The biggest inconvenience to folks in this area of Highway 6 and West Road, 100% is going to be the traffic. If you've got kids who are at an elementary or middle school in the area, think about Easton Commons and Copperfield, you might want to give the campus a call, see if they've got a plan in place as school is just about to begin letting out for maybe some of the younger grades. And the scene itself is massive. So we're here at the corner of Highway 6 and West Road. Where this shooting happened is about 0.6 miles from here, according to Google Maps, just up the way on West Road. And then at an entirely different scene along Highway 6 is where we're going to hear from deputies at some point. They've got a media staging area over there. So multiple scenes throughout this area, and from local, state, and federal partners who are all investigating this. Everyone's going to be looking at this investigation from multiple ways. One, what happened? Two, did the officer do everything correctly? Three, is there anything that can be improved upon to make sure that more officers are safer as they deal with these traffic stops in the future, in addition to everything that happened this afternoon? But as for the scene here at Kroger at Highway 6 and West Road, where we believe that this suspect was apprehended by authorities, it's slowly but surely starting to calm down. Harris County deputies still using their patrol units to kind of control the flow of traffic into the parking lot. And while maybe folks are not able to access this gas station, they are able to access the grocery store and other businesses in the area, Reka. And I know that we've got a number of KHOU crews scrambling to safely get to these various points, either where this happened, where this ended, or where deputies are going to update the media. So again, folks, proceed with caution, be patient, be kind to your fellow drivers, because this is a little bit of a headache this afternoon, guys.
Hi, Melissa, I'm sorry. Okay, looks like I got my mic back, but no, thank you again for, again, warning our viewers about traffic in the area. You said bumper-to-bumper traffic. There are essentially two scenes that are pretty close to each other, and just the sheer number of patrol vehicles and officers and law enforcement who show up as part of the investigation, as you know, as part of the effort to detain that suspect, as also just support and backup for situations like this. It is going to be a scene that will be tied up for a while, and as Melissa mentioned again, as we look at a camera that is on near the scene where the deputy was shot. As Melissa mentioned, we're getting very close to when school will be let out. It is 2:42. It doesn't look like that scene will clear for at least the next hour or so. And we know that kiddos in the area, if you have a child at a school in the area, maybe you want to check in with your school. We are trying to look in the area to see if there are any potential issues with traffic as kids get out. But yeah, if you can avoid this scene near Highway 6 and West Road, as you heard from Melissa and you saw the traffic back up behind her, please do so, because it is going to be an active scene for quite a while there. So we continue to follow this as they process this scene where this deputy was shot. If you're just joining us, this is breaking news that we first brought you, that first developed around 1 o'clock via a tweet from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, saying that a deputy had been shot during a traffic stop. That traffic stop happened in this area right here. This is what you're looking at. This is a 14,000 block of Willancy Court. It is just off of West Road. It is just east of Highway 6, and it's a residential area. We're looking at what is believed to be an apartment complex, but we were looking at an area earlier from Air 11 where the shooting happened, and it looked to have been really close to a cul-de-sac in the area. There were homes there. So that is where the shooting occurred. We were told that a deputy was pulling over this man because there was a warrant out for his arrest for a parole violation. We do not know what the suspect was on parole for, but the deputy, we are told, was shot in the face by this suspect, and that's when the suspect took off. We don't have a description of the vehicle he was driving, but he was caught just a few blocks from the scene in that parking lot, in that shopping area that we saw Melissa Correa at, and he was detained there. You know, we got a good look of that suspect from Air 11, and it's just as the description that went out, the description that was given to our reporter Brett Buffington through police sources. You know, we saw the man get out of the patrol car. He was wearing that gray shirt, those khaki shorts, standing about 5 feet 5 inches tall. So that man is now in this car. As we go back to this vehicle here, this sheriff's patrol car, taking this deputy to jail to be processed. You can see the lights are on and they're flowing past traffic there. But the suspect is in this vehicle here. Getting some conflicting reports on whether there is a search for another suspect, whether there may have been another person in that suspect's car. Right now, the sheriff is saying there's no threat to the public in that area, that it is safe for folks in that area, but still don't know if maybe they're looking for another person or if there's a person of interest involved. But right now, the scene is contained. There's no threat to the community. Just a large police presence there as they process the scene where the deputy was shot. They collect more evidence for this case, but mainly so many law enforcement officials out there, obviously providing backup and support, and many law enforcement officials at Memorial Hermann Hospital in the medical center where this deputy is being treated. This is a very grim situation right now when it comes to the deputy. We understand the deputy was shot in the face. We understand that the deputy did not have a pulse when he was put in a life flight helicopter and taken to Memorial Hermann. All right, we're going to go back to Brett Buffington now, who was able to give a lot of this initial information.
Rick, I couldn't hear what questions you were asking. My IFB was muted, but I can tell you we've made it here to this scene behind me. There is a Sheriff's Office Command Center, and just past that, there's tents I was talking about on the phone on the way over here. They have set them up over, we know, the deputy's patrol car and the other car that was involved in this traffic stop. Our understanding now here at the scene is we'll be able to make sense of it. There's an apartment complex that is not far from here. We understand that that may be where this actual shooting happened. The traffic stop happened here in this parking lot, and then possibly there was some kind of chase over to that. That is something we're working to confirm now with the Sheriff's Office. They told us they will give us an update here at this scene when they have something to tell us. Again, you were just talking about it. We know from our sources that this deputy was loaded into that life flight helicopter. Rescuers were doing CPR, and on the way to the hospital, we were told the deputy did not have a pulse. Again, landing at the Texas Medical Center there, being told by, again, medical sources here at the scene that the Sheriff's Office wanted that deputy to go to the hospital. Again, we had heard earlier that the sheriff himself is there. Obviously, the sheriff's family, this deputy's family, is either at the hospital or on the way. Meanwhile, here, the investigation is just in the early stages in this strip center parking lot behind me. I told you the tents were up over the cars. That is to preserve evidence. You can see barely in front of the camera here, the rain is falling here. That's certainly something that goes into crime scene investigating. They don't want the evidence to get wet, so now they're in the process of trying to put those tents again over the cars to preserve what is there. I can tell you here in this part of Jersey Village, there is a large law enforcement presence. I had to go through a roadblock just to get here to where they are staging the media. Again, you can see the mics off to the side, maybe just here beside us. We are waiting on someone from the Sheriff's Office to come over and give the first official statement into this shooting, again, happening earlier this afternoon, just before or around the 1 o'clock hour, I would assume. Looking back at text messages, I could probably give you a lot closer time frame to that. But again, if you're in this area this afternoon, be patient. The police are certainly out here. They are going through a difficult time this afternoon, too. This is one of their brothers that has been shot here this afternoon. Again, all we know about this deputy is in his 40s. He is a male, and he was shot in the head, according to what sources told me this afternoon. We're working to learn more from the sheriff's office here. Obviously, they have a lot bigger priorities, if you will, this afternoon with dealing with their injured colleague. And certainly our thoughts this afternoon are with that deputy. Hoping, though, that the law enforcement here will give us an update very soon. Once that happens, of course, we'll bring it to you live.
All right, Brett, thank you so much. We so appreciate that report from the ground, and obviously you were getting a lot of information for us early on from your police sources about this very sad, difficult situation for the law enforcement community today as we are tracking a deputy who was shot during a traffic stop just west of Jersey Village. This is northwest Harris County, and where we are now is that there is a deputy in the hospital, and that situation is looking grim. We haven't gotten any confirmation, but we were told the deputy was shot in the face, as we heard from Brett Buffington again. Paramedics doing CPR, working on him for quite a while, but he did not have a pulse when he was taken by life flight to the hospital. A suspect has been arrested just a few blocks from the scene. That man, initially all of this started because of a traffic stop. That man had a parole violation. There was an open warrant out for his arrest. That man has been arrested and is now being taken to jail. And of course, right now, as we get back and we look at this shot here, just a few blocks from the original scene where that shooting happened, investigators have put up, a tarp, a tent over the scene as they process the evidence there. And this is a situation that we will continue to watch and track. We will have the latest updates online and, of course, on air starting at 4 o'clock on the 411. We will see you there.
Transported our deputy here to the hospital. At last, the last update we received that he's extremely critical. He's still alive. I know there's been some conflicting information out there. He's still alive, but he is very critically wounded at this point. Some family member has been alerted. We're trying to get other family members alerted as well. We know he's a father. So at this point, I'm not prepared to release information on his identity right now, simply out of courtesy to the family. But this is an extremely grave situation right now. There are no words to speak to how heartbroken we are, how devastated that our deputies out there protecting the community as they do every single day. This deputy is well liked, well respected, and for me personally, I'm heartbroken because he's a personal friend of mine. This is the worst type of call that any police executive can receive, and so we're very grateful for the community support. We're receiving messages and calls from all over the country and our own community here, and so we specifically thank also our Harris County community for the thoughts and prayers. They know very well we're always out there trying to fight crime and protect them, and today we're in
your church, visit your temple, your synagogue, visit the Harris County Sheriff's Office Memorial. Spend time there to lay or to offer thoughts and prayers. Because whether there's a shooting today or not, those law enforcement officers, no matter the department, always need us to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. But that is the best thing that we can do for right now, because personally, I believe in the power of prayer. And so I would ask all of our citizens to please come together. Please take the opportunity to exercise a moment of silence and prayer to keep this deputy in mind and help him fight through this very grave situation.
Comisionado, ¿puede decir algo en español?
En español. Nomás les quiero decir que ahorita es un momento difícil. Les quiero suplicar a todo el público de por favor, si hay algo que ustedes quieren hacer para este elemento y todos los elementos que tienen el cargo de seguridad pública, es de orar por él. Llegar a visitar su iglesia, a donde llegan a orar, y por favor lleguen a tomarlo en cuenta. Gracias.
I'll have David Cuevas from the Harris County Deputies.
Good afternoon. I just ask that we continue to keep our deputy in your thoughts and prayers, as we know that Harris County finest law enforcement, we have a tough job to do. This man is a pillar of the community. He has a heart of gold, and he is great as they come. So continue to please pray for our personnel, our deputy, and their families. Thank you.
Information is still very limited at this point for obvious reasons. It's still unfolding, active scene investigation that we have out there, and you know, we're split between being here at the hospital and then the multiple scenes that we have out in the field. So I'll try to answer any questions. If not, as soon as we get another update, I'll come back out and we'll update everyone.
Sheriff, your understanding is he was shot from behind twice?
That's my understanding, that he was shot from behind. So we don't know the dynamics of how that happened. It was just during a traffic stop is what we know. And those details we'll be able to tighten up a little bit later.
Was there another deputy with him?
I'm not sure about that.
Sheriff, is it your understanding that this is a third person, the deputy, the person driving the car, and then a third person who was your shooter, or was the driver?
I'm told that I'm not sure about that. I do know there were at least 2 people in the vehicle, and I can't confirm if it was the driver or not, but one of the occupants in the car. But
the shooter came from that vehicle that was stopped.
That's the information we have, the preliminary information, and I always preface these type of matters that it's preliminary because again it's still unfolding, and we're trying to give updates to our community, but at the same time knowing that there's still some things that may be changing.
Algo del sospechoso. ¿Quiénes son los sospechosos?
No sé todavía, sé que es un hombre adulto, alguien está detenido, pero no sé todos los detalles todavía, si se ha confirmado la identidad y cómo está conectado. Solamente sabemos que había por lo menos 2 personas en el vehículo y el resultado de la parada de tránsito es cuando sucedió esto.
Sheriff, I know that the information is limited, but help me understand how during a traffic stop a deputy is shot from behind by an occupant of a car.
The preliminary information we're receiving is that during that stop, as he was conducting the stop, we don't know if he had already approached the vehicle and then returning back to his vehicle, or if he was making the initial contact and then circling back, and it was still an ongoing traffic stop when somebody from the vehicle, is my information, exited and basically just shot him in a very ruthless, cold-blooded way. That's what we have right now.
He may not
even know. Exactly.
¿Nos podría decir brevemente lo que ocurrió en español?
Sí, no sé todos los detalles, solamente sabemos que estaba en una parada de tránsito, parece que habían por lo menos 2 personas, estaba comunicando, me imagino, con las personas, iba regresando a su carro, no sé si ahí iba a terminar la parada de tránsito o si todavía estaba continuando, pero parece ser que la persona lo siguió por atrás y le disparó al oficial en mano fría, de una manera muy violenta.
¿Dónde fue herido el oficial?
Atrás no sabe exactamente, pero son graves, parece que fue en su cabeza.
Did one of the suspects have a blue warrant, Sheriff? Do you know?
I do not know what the traffic stop was or what any kind of background is. Again, that's an unfolding situation. These situations are very difficult for us because we're torn between doing our job and continuing the work of the county, but at the same time, here to comfort the family. So for me, my primary duty right now with the scene being under control is to offer condolences to a family that's deeply hurting, a family that I know, to help support our deputies that have ascended upon the hospital, and we have the scene in very good hands right now, but I haven't fully gotten a complete update other than there's an individual or individuals in custody right now. They're going to try to sort everything out, and we know it was a result of the traffic stop, and just based on the wounds appearing from behind is what we know. Again, it just happened during a traffic stop, so it just speculating a little bit, but it looks like as he was walking back, they just caught him by surprise, in a very cold-blooded manner, and extremely upset about that. But I'll try to reserve comment at this point because, again, my focus right now is on getting our deputy healed and to, be strong for our community and for our agency that needs it right now, and also for our call takers as well, because I don't want to lose sight that they were extremely helpful in obviously dealing with the mayhem. The hospital staff here has been incredible, life flight, and so all the medical team, they started life-saving measures from the beginning, and we're just going to pray that he pulls through.
Dado el factor de que este señor tenía 10 años con la fuerza, llegó a su dependencia judicial cuando estaba el señor García acaba de describir lo importante que es para ustedes estar unidos en estos momentos.
Sí, él entró al oficial, tiene 10 años, comenzó durante el término que estaba allí el alguacil García. Entonces, por eso es amigo personal de todos nosotros, alguien muy respetado. He just was reminding or just suggesting again, he's a 10-year veteran of the department, very respected. He's a leader in every sense of the word, and he came under the tenure of then Sheriff Garcia, now Commissioner Garcia. So,
What else can you tell us about the deputy?
no, just a phenomenal person, great leader, great worker, liked by his colleagues. Again, can't release the name quite at this time until I confirm with the family because children were still in school and they were trying to, and I just don't want something to get out. I know there's already been some rumors out there, so I'll just have to withhold that briefly, and then hopefully the next update, as soon as either we hear something significant or there's a change in condition or something, then I'll come back out and we'll all brief you at least probably within the hour regardless of what happens. A 10-year veteran of the sheriff's office.
You said very critical. What else? How else can you describe?
Just very critical wounds at this time. He's in it's a grave situation right now, so we need everybody's prayer. That's what we're going to hold on to for now and stay hopeful until we have an update, and then we'll know better. So, okay, thank you all very much. Okay,
Commissioner Garcia, can you talk to me about why this is so personal to you?
Look, you know, I made an effort to engage the community when I was sheriff, working to recruit at the grassroots levels. And this young man happened to be one of those products. He stepped forward when he had a very lucrative business, but he wanted to pursue his calling of public service, and consulted with his father about getting permission to join the department. He did, and he did so very quietly. I met him many times, but did not understand the circumstances by which he came to us. And then it was later on that I connected the dots together, but just saw him grow as a deputy, as the consummate public servant that you would want and expect to see in uniform, doing a difficult job, but still always being mindful and thoughtful of the community. This is the guy. This is the guy that knew how to do the job with compassion, with dignity, with respect, and I was always just so proud of him. Very close to him. We stayed engaged over the years, and his family is like family to me. He recently lost his mother to cancer. We were together through that difficult circumstance. So this is my family, and so it's very, very difficult.
He has children.
He's got children.
Young children?
If you will, I'd rather not go into the details at the time.
So walk me through today, because obviously you found out about this and took it. Walk me through what you found out and when, and sort of.
Well, the sheriff gave me a call to let me know what had happened. Obviously, that's bad news enough. And then he shared with me who it was, which was very, very devastating as I was getting the information. So I canceled the rest of my appointments and made my way here to the hospital to be with the family.
You're still plugged in with a lot of the deputies. How are his partners and people there handling?
Obviously, we're all, look, anytime you've worn a uniform and you've worn a badge and you've carried a gun and you've been in a patrol car, there are deputies and police officers across this country that are empathizing with our department right now and with his family and with his coworkers. And then there are those who work closest with him, who are obviously going through a great deal of difficulty. And then there are those who came up the ranks with him, and they're like brothers. And there's one of those that's here today. And so he is feeling a sense of burden because he wasn't there when he needed him the most. And that's a weight we all carry when these situations happen. And so again, I ask our citizens to come together. I believe in the power of prayer. Please visit our Sheriff's Office Memorial over at the Crime Stoppers office. Light a candle for him, light incense, whatever it is that you do to offer your way of prayer and thought. That's what I ask of you. That's what he and his family need at this time, and that's what his children would appreciate.
And I know you guys are a fraternity, a brotherhood, and we see the presence outside the hospital. Inside the hospital, you've been through these before. Describe to us what is going on within the community there.
Look, it's just as you described. It's a family. There's that blood family, and then there is that career family, and it's a family. These guys, look, when Hurricane Harvey took place, this deputy was working to get resources together to help those deputies whose homes had flooded. This is a family, and there's just no way to distinguish whether it be different in your home or in mine or in the hall right this moment. People are grieving. People feel a heavy heart at the moment. People are frustrated. They're angry because this shouldn't happen to anyone, much less to this deputy. And so that's what is going on at this moment.
Thank you.
them.
Learned that deputy is in his 40s and is a father. The accused gunman is in custody. There is a very active scene. There's a very active scene off Highway 6 and West Road.
We have live team coverage for you today. Larry Seward is in the medical center for us. That's where the sheriff just gave us an update. So, Larry, what do we know about this injured deputy?
Well, Russ, we know his name, but we're not going to say it here. Neither did the sheriff say it during the press conference because there are some relatives that may not even know about this. This deputy was a 10-year vet. You mentioned he's a father. He is in very critical, extremely critical condition is what the sheriff said about him. And they are here, number of deputies as well as members of the Houston Police Department. If you look at the scene there live in Northwest Harris County, the sheriff told us that this deputy was doing a traffic stop. He pulled over a car, 2 people inside. He's not sure when the shooting happened, but this deputy was shot from behind, he believes, by one of the 2 people inside that car. The deputy shot at least twice from behind. Called this, the sheriff did, a cold-hearted shooting. Again, that deputy in very critical condition. Former Sheriff Adrian Garcia, who's now a county commissioner here in Harris County, knows this deputy personally because a decade ago, Adrian Garcia was then the sheriff and recruited this deputy to the force. He's described as a gold-hearted pillar of the community and the force. For Garcia, this is personal.
When Hurricane Harvey took place, this deputy was working to get resources together to help those deputies whose homes had flooded. This is a family, and there's just no way to distinguish whether it be different in your home or in mine or in the hall right this moment. People are grieving. People feel a heavy heart at the moment. People are frustrated. They're angry because this shouldn't happen to anyone, much less to this deputy. And so.
And as you heard the sheriff say, this family, this brotherhood, they are very angry about how this happened. Not only this deputy being shot, but the way he was shot from behind. He may not have an opportunity, may not have had an opportunity to pull his weapon, may not have known this was even happening. Again, as I mentioned off the top, there are a number of law enforcement personnel here at the hospital outside Memorial Hermann and inside. Members of the family were told also here as well. But again, not all of the family knows about this and knows all the details, which is why we are not naming that deputy at this moment, but they are asking for prayers from the community that this deputy pulls through this. Reka, Russ, back to you.
They will certainly receive a lot of support. Thank you so much, Larry.
As we saw from Larry, there are 2 active scenes this afternoon, one where deputies arrested their suspect and another nearby where the shooting happened.
Yeah, let's go to Brett Buffington. He's off Highway 6 and West Road. So tell us more, Brett, about how this situation unfolded.
Well, we were promised a press conference from the Sheriff's Department. The Major Mike Lee, as well as the PIO, Thomas Gilliland, they both just walked up here. We're expecting them to come up to a podium here just behind my live shot and give us an update on this. But what we've been able to learn from law enforcement sources is these scenes, they're about a quarter of a mile apart. One of them where this deputy this afternoon was making this traffic stop on Willancy Court. As that was happening, that is where we were understanding from the sheriff. This person walked up behind this sheriff's deputy and shot him multiple times. Again, you just heard Lyra's report on how the deputy's doing. Meanwhile, here there are two separate scenes, as you alluded to, Reka and Russ. The other one is in a parking lot of a strip center here. This is where we understand the car that this suspect took off from that original shooting scene ended up. That car is in a parking lot here. Crime scene investigators, they are processing it for evidence this afternoon. Of course, we are working to learn more about who was in that car with this accused shooter this afternoon and the person that deputies have in custody. Of course, we are waiting again on that update from the sheriff's office here at this scene. When that happens, we'll bring it to you live. Reporting live, Brett Buffington, KHOU 11 News.
Yeah, and Brett Buffington got a lot of info from police, from sources there as the situation was unfolding this afternoon. It was very helpful. Thank you so much, Brett.
We have Melissa Correa just a few blocks from where Brett is. That's where the suspect was taken into custody not long after this happened. Mel, what do you have?
Hey there, Russ. We're about a half mile from the scene of that shooting. And what you can see right now is that Harris County Sheriff's deputies are allowing some of the customers to get their cars out of the roped off parking lot. Meanwhile, under the protection of a tent, because earlier today we were dealing with some rainstorms, you can see that Harris County's crime scene unit is now processing a 4-door silver Nissan Altima. It's believed that one person who was arrested was pulled from this vehicle. However, earlier today, you're hearing the updates from both Brett and Larry that maybe at least 2 people were inside of this vehicle. Air 11 video is going to show us that at least one person was taken into custody. And the interesting information about what we saw from the sky is that this guy matched the physical description of who deputies were looking for about an hour today as this manhunt was happening near West Road and Highway 6. This manhunt was an all-out, full-force effort from local, state, and federal agents who came out here looking for this man who's gunned down a 10-year veteran with the Harris County Sheriff's Office, a father. At this point, I can tell you there's still a little bit of a traffic delay for folks who are trying to get their kids home from school this Friday afternoon. A number of businesses, though, are in this shopping center, including a Kroger. And to give you perspective, this crime scene is being investigated. Evidence is being gathered as business continues to go on as usual, with folks going in and out of the grocery store and pumping gas as well. Russ and Reka.
Thank you so much, Mel.
You'll want to avoid that area. Obviously, Janelle Beluda is here with us now with a look at the closures around both scenes. What do folks need to know if they're getting out into their cars?
Yeah, guys, as you heard Melissa said, there's a lot of traffic in that area. So we just want to make sure everybody has all the information they have in case they have to head to that scene. Now, I'm going to pull up some graphics. This is the shooting scene. It's 14800 Willancy Court. Now, it is just down the road from the scene of that arrest, 8580 Highway 6. As you can see, it's right along West Road there. But this is a bigger visual here. It can show you traffic on Highway 6 is crawling at 0 miles per hour. West Road, like I said, was also shut down. It's now reopened, but you can see there's still a lot of traffic in that area. Now, to give you a bigger picture, there are alternate routes you can take. FM 529 if you're headed north, Barker Cypress Road. If you have to head south, Jones Road, or Cypress North Houston Road. And this is a scene of the traffic right now. So just giving everybody an idea of what they would have to come into if they have to head that area, guys.
Yeah. Right, because there's still a lot of work to do on both of those scenes,
yeah.
So you know they're going to be out there a long time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Janelle. And you know, we are staying on top of this breaking news investigation. We will let you know as soon as the deputy's name is released and if we have any more information about his condition. And of course, all of that new information about the suspect ahead at 4:30, as well as KHOU.com and the KHOU 11 app.
All right, our other big story today is the weather out there. Some storms pushing through right now. Pretty heavy here in the Galleria area, Erica. Where's the rain right now?
You know, scattered in nature, and a lot of the stronger storms, they have tapered off. So that's